I want to welcome everyone to today's meeting of the working session of the Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners. The listings on today's agenda are matters of those reasonably anticipated by the chair which may be discussed. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting is being taped for playback later on YouTube or WRPS. That'll take a motion to open the meeting.
I make the motion to open the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor, Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
Mr. Hessian, yes, it's unanimous. First thing on the agenda, I'd like to, did everyone read the minutes from 6:29, 7:13, and 8:2?
Yes.
I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from
I make-
June 29th, July 13th, and August 2nd.
I second it.
All in favor, Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
And Mr. Hessian, yes.
And now
Robin is out.
I have another set for next week. Thank you.
A couple of things I want to bring up to the board. I had a bunch of questions as well as Jack Egan submitted some for regarding the base. I CC'd you on that email. I'm CCing you on those. They are not my opinions, they're just questions that would be brought up for discussion anyway. So I just wanted to keep the board, appraised and abreast of everything I am doing, so no one thinks I'm running amok. I also contacted two applicants who are on our waiting list, Beechwood Estates and Manzella Court, as well as 320 Concord Street. Beechwood Estates would be a flow of 1,980 gallons a day at 21,000 of our I&I. And the reason being, we knew they were tied up legally and all kinds of things, and I wanted to see about moving them, giving them a spot on the pending list, and using that approved flow to connect another applicant so we can get some revenue in here. The next applicant on the list would be 320 Concord Street and Manzella Court. I spoke with Bob Manzella and they're ready to go. Their drawings are at building now. It's only 660 gallons and that's a small head. 320 Concord Street, they're in the process of all the final paperwork, but however, they will not be ready to April of 2024 at the earliest to break ground. So if we could free up some I&I, the next two on the list would be, well, the only one on the list that I think that would meet the criteria would be Holy Family Schoolhouse Project, which we will not be know until we get that final report from Weston Sampson on the I&I rehab and the metering. Those reports are due September 15th now. The reason this was pushed back is I want them to be as accurate as possible with the data, and I gave them a list of questions that I wanted answered regarding I&I and future I&I work before we go. What I'm trying to do is to expedite the process for the repair work, have them take the metering work, and that metering final report will be specify general areas. And I said, well, you have the data that you could probably pinpoint areas of immediate need. And he said, yes, we believe we do. We want to look at it closer. And I said, okay, let's go for the 15th. So what I'm hoping to do is with that, instead of waiting till weather in the fall, even if it's another 50,000 gallons, snap it up right away.
Yes.
So that's why that delay was, I put that off. That's basically where we are now, as far as I'm concerned. Next on the agenda is the Board of Selectmen's update presentation, which would be September 5th. I put that off to the 19th of September. The reason for that is I want to give the Board of Selectmen the most accurate data and information that I can. And until I have those two final reports from Weston Sampson, I didn't see any reason to give them one update, they go back another month. So I think that was appropriate.
What was that new date?
September 19th. I'll put that down for my Okay, so that'll be September 13th, September 19th. Next on the agenda is the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan public presentation. Little birdie dropped a message in my ear that North River Watershed Association's taking a very, very, very close look at that. They will be attending the presentation. I'm gonna reach out to Samantha Woods and see if she'd like to have a general conversation prior to, so that's not taking up too much time at that meeting. What I'd like to do is I'd like to put some kind of a notice out on Facebook and WRPS. I contacted WRPS and they said put something together. What I was wondering, do we want to just have Wright Pierce put together a one-page PowerPoint thing and say, okay, this is what an OVAC, because I have the general presentation. Maybe they could just summarize it, or we could just put that general presentation up on WRPS for everyone to look at beforehand. I have the slides.
And the reason we're putting it on WRPS is to notify people so that they can
Notify
attend the full
people, maybe
presentation.
give them an advance, say, hey, the document is here at the sewer plant, it's online. Here's the general presentation. If you have any questions, start looking now to formulate those questions. Because it's going to explain, the reasons for the rate change, how we're going about the facility upgrade, and it's going to emphasize the need of a secondary treatment system for Rockland. Rockland's at the maximum point now for of this wastewater treatment plant capacity. And for the audience, all we're doing technically is you have a full cup. And I work is just taking a teaspoon at a time out of that, and we're filling it right back up. The dilemma is going to be is when we get into the upgrade, like when this phosphorus system is built, it's going to require that we shut down the system for a period of time, unknown period of time. It's not going to be weeks or days, but it will be hours. And we're going to need as much capacity as we can to hold, so we're not just seeing a whoosh through. And again, that's where when you do an upgrade of a wastewater facility, or even imagine a drinking water facility, you got to be leery of the high water table, the high water periods when you do those shutdowns, because it does require a connection, and you can't have excessive flow coming into the plant. So those are some of the irons we have to juggle. Are there any questions on that, or do you want to think about that? I think just releasing the CWMP overhead slides for previewing, and telling with the note that the comprehensive plan is both hard copy at the facility, and I don't think people would understand the data.
So I know the whole plan is posted on our website.
Yes.
Are the slides on the website?
No.
I think that's where they should go. And then this notice on Facebook.
I'll
and
put the slides on that,
WRPS.
they could look at that as well.
The notice should just say, this is what we're doing on this date. Here's where you can find further information so that you can bring your questions.
Could you
Okay.
put something
Because
on
it's going to be,
put something on Facebook, they just click right to us.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of putting on the
yeah.
Facebook on the site.
yeah, the link.
With the thing, and then you can just click on the tabs. I think that's the way I'm gonna go about it. Because, what people have to realize that sewer does not receive tax dollars. It's funded solely by user rates. And for all intents and purposes, your user rates for water and sewer are another tax, or in addition to your taxes. In sewer alone, within 5 years, the average home is going to be paying $375 more a year for the sewer bill. So that is an additional tax on you, and I think that needs to be driven home to people when they're looking at various projects throughout the town. That it's not just you're getting sewer and water and trash on that. So that's one of the things that I am going to stress at my selectmen's presentation as well. Before we get into the moratorium, is there anything else that you would like to bring up, or you would like to bring up? Dan brought up a project going on Hingham Street for anyone that's interested. As far as we know, that is going to be a three-bay garage, metal garage, not requiring sewer or water. Because I guess the building has been receiving a lot of questions on it.
That one.
Looks like a house, really.
Yeah, I know, but it's not, it's a big garage.
All right, I just have one item I'd like to notify the board. Rick Katouche had forwarded Veolia's operations contract for 23-24, and it was higher than what we had anticipated. So it is going to cause a deficit in that line item budget by about $20,000. The extra cost was due to the unexpected utility rates.
Unexpected utility rates, and they're also sludge disposal. They can't keep up with the disposal costs that are climbing.
So,
How would you want to handle that, to take funds out? Because I'd like to transfer and get that line item taken care of if we can.
So
That
we know
deficit.
that we're having a special town meeting in November, tentatively. We could pull that 20,000 from the retained earnings from last year. Or we could let it go and it will fall into the final bottom line of next year's retained earnings.
Okay, now I'm gonna let you make the call on this, in just general discussion. My thought process would be, I'd rather be dealing with real dollars, knowing where I am, having a solid footing, and just say we hire a new superintendent in the future. I wouldn't want some baggage coming
Keep
in.
it clean.
I'd rather keep it clean. Now, what do you
Okay.
think?
Certainly we can do that, 6 to half dozen, really. The other thing that I would like to consult with Scott on is the CWMP. As you know, we had an extra $49,000 contracted for the alternatives to satisfy the EPA,
Yes.
and that is over the article amount. So we're gonna have to make that up somewhere, and I
I
don't
thought we
know
covered
how
that.
No. No.
Then I'd put in I'd go to
So-
the town meeting and see if we can get $69,000.
And pull that from the retained earnings as well. Okay. I'll work with Scott.
Can you work with Scott and talk to Doug about
Yep.
that?
Yep.
So the 20,000 would be for the CWMP, no, the 20,000 would be for the Veolia
Yep.
contract override, which was due to utilities and sludge disposal for the unplanned, for the
Correct.
phosphorus.
Correct.
And the $49,000 was for why would they, excuse me, why didn't that go into last year? Because we knew that.
Because it's just because the articles are kind of separate from, they're not included in the retained earnings piece. They run on their own balances, and the balances carry over from year to year.
Okay.
Now, we haven't actually gone into the negative yet. I'm just projecting out that when these payments are finally made.
I'd rather do the transfer. Again,
I
sure,
would
I'm
agree with
giving
that.
it,
No, I would agree with that. I would want to keep that one particularly.
I'd like to keep it as clean as we can so we're dealing with real numbers.
Yep. But yeah, all those article accounts, for example, this year we got 100,000 from Spruce Street Station. So that just stays by itself from year to year. Whatever balance is in there just keeps going.
No, I understand.
Yeah. All right, I will talk to Doug and Scott.
Do you want me to send Doug a quick email saying that?
I can do it,
Okay.
no problem.
Now, that CWMP presentation is still gonna be right now on Zoom. Do you see any reason why we should transfer it to the lecture hall?
Well, I like Zoom better. I think it's a.
I agree. I like it better, but, and you know what,
Yeah.
everyone says, oh, yeah, we're interested, and then you have no turnout.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's gonna be in the evening, correct?
It's gonna be 7 o'clock in
So
the
that
evening.
makes it very convenient for people,
All right, we'll leave it as is.
my opinion.
Now, how long will Zoom go on for?
We could go to Zoom until next April.
I thought it was permanently, but I'll let you do it.
No.
I think they've passed that yet. I think they're still talking about it.
Okay, for the board, we've received the drawings for Holy Family. Here's the schoolhouse project. I looked it over. They have been approved to go with sewer septic, if they want. I really don't want to lose that revenue.
Comes down to
and again, as far as projects, you know, Sherry, as far as budgeting, we have a digester piping project rebid. I'm holding on to that until we get the okay from the state licensing board on the extension.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, I'm gonna be doing some, why do we have to rebid? Why can't I use the same thing?
The same request?
Yeah, same request. It's out there.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, use again, that's,
Yeah.
just so you know,
Why not?
what I'm questioning. Okay, before we go into the moratorium, I just wanna go over the approved waiting list. What we have on the approved waiting list that's subject to the moratorium freeing up the 320 Concord Street in Manzella. Manzella, for all intents and purposes, ready. On the approved to connect list is Beechwood, but there's no way I think they're gonna be ready. So that's 1,980 gallons, would be more than enough to take care of 320 and Manzella. And that would give us another $26,000 in fees, no, a little more. Dwyer Street still has not connected. I went up there Monday, and it still yesterday, and it still looks like a wasteland. Neighbors are not happy. 365 Concord Street is progressing. I spoke with Kevin Seelund today. I went up to the site. It's up to the owner. We've talked about a grinder station. He technically has the option of if he wants to do it or not, because he was approved before that went into effect. Hopefully they will go for it. If not, they've got a sound connection system going, so they're ready to move.
Do we have a time frame on when they want to start building?
Excuse me?
Time frame on when they want to start
They're
building?
clearing now. I would say they're gonna start building any day now.
Oh,
Who's that, Concord Street?
Concord Street,
Yeah,
365
Well,
vertical.
I think he's probably laying some concrete now.
No, there's no concrete laid now. He's just clearing off each individual site.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he's been going.
And he's
pretty
gonna
fast.
do the retaining basin next. We have 333 Weymouth Street, 48 Carey Street, 60 Green Street, 506 Beach, and 411 Pond that are all done, or in the process of.
and there was another one, so,
Who's 411 Pond?
Pending now on what we'll call a pending in this order.
well, can we stay on that?
Sure.
Single family, what's the address? There was another one that came in this week, or last week.
978,
No,
22 Sunset.
yes,
Yes. 22
Is that
Sunset is
before?
just all that would be is a permit fee. All that is they're building a
one
master
bed.
bedroom.
yeah, 22 cents, okay. Does the board need to approve that?
No, that's just gonna go, I'll just sign the permit for the, because if anything, we're gonna put a half a bath in. Now that's it as far as projects that have been approved in any way. People who are waiting, applicants that are awaiting a hearing in this order, a Holy Family Church, and possibly Park and Howard. Park and Howard's gonna be totally dependent on the moratorium. Even in the old moratorium, I don't think they can meet the requirements. So with that, I'd like to move into the moratorium discussion. So where we left off, moratorium. I believe it was section 5 or 6?
That's my great, so.
5.
We finished 5.
And we wanted to
finished
pick up at
5,
6.
but you had some questions. I have some edits for 5.
Okay.
Didn't translate.
Can I ask you a question?
You can do anything you want.
When this building over here is done, will that take care of our sludge?
No.
No?
Creates more, right?
And
All it's gonna do, it's gonna process, it's gonna make the it's gonna take the pressure off the filter press by being a little more efficient. But as long as we're treating, well, phosphorus is over in October. As long as we're treating for phosphorus, we're gonna have a lot of sludge.
I figure this might burn none of this.
No,
No,
that's not gonna help us out. We can't keep pace with the price increase. All right, 5, shoot.
5.1.
But, hold on.
Funds for inflow and infiltration removal will be allocated by articles presented and approved at town meeting or from the connection fees charged for engineering and removal fee and placed in the I&I ledger account. Approved budget line item and other grants or other sources as may be available.
Okay, line item, grants and other sources?
Yeah, take out grants and other sources.
So you want it to read ledger account, comma, approved budget line item, grants and other accounts as required.
And other sources as may be available.
Let me read it one more time. Section 5.1 under inflow and infiltration funds. Funds for inflow and infiltration, I&I removal, will be allocated by articles presented and approved at town meeting from the connection fees charged for engineering and removal fee, from connection, from the from the fees collected from the fees
Fees
charged
charged
for
for-
engineering and removal,
Yep,
placed into the I&A ledger account,
yep,
approved line item,
yep,
grants, and other sources that may be available.
correct.
Okay, done.
5.2, the only change is at the very end of the paragraph.
Yep.
Amount will be deducted from the appropriate I&I funding account.
Okay,
Deducted from,
the amount must be approved from the Rockland Board of Sewer Commission is and deducted. Repeat that, please, and deducted.
deducted from the appropriate
Yep.
I&I funding account. That's where the money is.
If those funds, I&I, are used for any other purpose such as repairs to equipment, including substations, and must have the approval by a majority of the Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners and deducted from the proper I&I funding account. Done. That's it?
Yep.
Okay, 6.0, new connections. 6.1, I'll read through them once and then we go over them again as we did in the past. Okay. 6.1, any permit for new connection to the sewer system will be issued for a specific wastewater flow amount without a guarantee or promise of additional flow being made available or added onto the original permit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's it. 6.2, all connections to the Rockland sewer system are subject to the I&I removal ratio without exception. Okay, hold on to that thought. If for any reason connection fees or charges are waived, the 11:1 removal ratio remains in effect. This includes the engineering and inflow infiltration removal fee. What I caught myself on here was all connections to the Rockland system are subject to 11:1 removal. What about 440 or less?
And I made a note of that, this includes connections less than 440 gallons per day.
Okay,
So the single family, 3-bedroom, we still have to take out that I&I.
okay, should I just say this includes the exemptions from the moratorium, or just?
No, I'd say includes connections less than 440 gallons per day.
Okay. All connections to the Rockland sewer system are subject to the 11:1 removal ratio without exception. This includes those connections with less than 440 gallons a day. If for any reason connection fees or charges waived, the 11:1 ratio remains in effect. This includes the engineering and that doesn't sound right.
Well,
What I
I
wanted
put
to
the-
say with that was that the ratio still has to come out for the EPA order.
right, I would just put that at the end of the whole paragraph is great, and then at the very end, this includes connections less than 440.
So
That's-
that,
This includes connections less than 440 is the last sentence in that paragraph. Don't stick it in the middle, put it at the end.
right, okay, so I can delete, if for anything
Keep
they're waived.
everything else, yeah.
6.3, the Rockland Sewer Department will not accept any bonds covering work to locate or repair inflow and infiltration in exchange for a permit to connect prior to the actual I&I work being completed and the appropriate removal flow right has been achieved. I think that's imperative, we keep that.
Perfect.
Okay. So that's 6. Municipal connections. Now here's, okay, I wanted to, at one point I was talking about charging for municipal, we have some thought about that. Let me read it as it stands now. Effective July 1, 23. All new connections to the Rockland sewer system for municipal parentheses town use will not be exempt from the conditions contained in this moratorium. The requesting department must write an article for town meeting approval in the amount to cover associated costs with SSES investigation to locate and remove and repair the required amount of I&I with the 11:1 ratio applied. What I would like to see that read is that any connection, any municipal connections are subject to I&I recovery fees. We're not taxing them for use, we're not charging them for the use.
Right.
But if they're gonna come up with a project to build, we still need to remove that I&I. We're holding on to the full burden, we're taking their flow and everything. They should build the I&I, be charged the I&I fee.
All right, so this, and I totally agree, the conditions contained in the moratorium, condition 1 is the 2.25 flow,
Right.
so.
Can't waive it,
Okay, that's what I want to clarify.
can't waive it.
And then the rest of it, the other conditions deal with the I&I, so, yeah.
But how do you feel about charging them connection fees? They're gonna pass it off to the taxpayer. But if they don't, we have to pay for it and charge them in the user rate, so it's a double-edged sword.
Whoever raises the funds for the I&I investigation and removal,
Well,
It's
we'd have to
gonna
have
end up on
that,
the
we'd have to
taxpayer.
have that I&I removal available to go after. So what I'm saying is, we can't foot the bill for their sewer use on a day-to-day basis and recover the I&I for them to it. They've gotta pay for the I&I, the town has
I
to pay
think
for the I&I.
that makes sense, because that's just part of a building construction cost, right?
Maintenance.
They have to, yeah. They have to pay the carpenters, they have to pay the engineering. How is that I&I any different? Not charging them the rates, the way everything is set up in the town is, kind of makes sense,
No,
but for them to build a whole new building and create new flow.
okay, now that leads us to another question I have. They tore down, but the McKinley School to put up that new fire station. It had to stop. To me, that's a change of use, that's a new connection, so. But what if they're gonna refurbish a building?
Are they gonna add more basements and bathrooms?
Right, what's the use? Are they changing the use of the building?
No, they're not changing the use of the building.
Because that would be.
So wanna just leave it for now
That would be no
at
different
new
than
buildings?
a commercial refurbishing their building. I mean, if you look at it as though it was a commercial company,
Or how about saying this?
If you're gonna put up a new office building, then. you
All
have to
municipal
recover.
projects are subject to the I&I engineering fees to accommodate that flow. Yes.
A lot of commercial buildings may be changed to apartment buildings. Therefore, you go from 8 gallons per day
Mhm.
to 100 gallons per day.
I know,
Right,
that's
and that's a
that's
change
covered
in
under
use.
change of use.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've got that covered under change of use.
so if they took one
But
of
I'm
the
saying
town, but
municipal-
if they took one of the town buildings.
And change, I got
Did
that
something, that's
covered under
change
change
of
use.
use.
What I'm talking is municipal project, municipal to municipal, or a new municipal building. If they're coming up with a new municipal building, that's additional flow. We may have to say you can't build it because we don't have the flow available to you.
Mhm.
But if we do have the flow available to you, and we give it to you, we're denying ourselves revenue. We're a business,
Well, and we're generating expenses to take care of the
Right.
I&I.
so I think we charge them.
I would agree. I think what we need to do is change this to let the town determine how they're going to fund it. They just need to provide the funds to us. Or pay
Well,
the fees.
I want to do it, just say however you do it, you're subject to the
Yes.
I&I engineering fees for that flow amount.
Yep. Yes. And it's up to them to determine how they're gonna fund it.
Okay, how about this? Effective July 1st, 21, all connections, all new connections to Rockland system from municipal use will not be exempt from the conditions contained in this moratorium. The town,
Sewer engineering and I&I removal fees will apply at the 11-to-1 ratio.
I like that, short and sweet. I'm gonna take out the requesting department.
Yes, take that all out.
I'm not subject, I'm not exempt from this.
Sewer engineering,
And sewer maintenance and sewer engineering fees will be applied.
okay.
There's gonna be blowback, okay?
Are we going to, you have this effective July 1st.
I'm
Should
gonna
that be
change it.
September?
I'm gonna change it effective to January 1st.
January?
Yeah.
Why not September? Isn't that when this new one's going?
Well, if we need it, if we get it by September, I'll say
Yeah,
September.
whenever the whole
Yeah.
thing is.
Now September 1st anyways.
Well, if we can get through it today,
Yeah, then we can.
or by next Tuesday, we can whack it out. I wanna put it up on, the public comment for 30 days before we finalize it. Residential connections, effective July, we're into 8 now.
Mhm.
Effective July 1, 23, all new connections to Rockland sewage system for residential, single-family homes, apartments, condominiums are subject to the availability of flow that exists at the time of application in the I&I remediation account without exception. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
8.2, if available, any new residential connections with 4 bedrooms and less than 400 gallons a day of wastewater flow is not subject to conditions in this moratorium. These residential units will be limited to a maximum of 4 total bedrooms of 440 gallons a day of flow.
Can you explain why it says if available?
You're right, we exempted them,
Yeah,
so it just should be any new.
any new connection.
You're right. Each individual single-family housing or unit or any amount of total apartments or condominiums and a total of no more than a maximum of 30 total bedrooms will have a not-to-exceed maximum of 3,300 gallons a day of total wastewater flow without exception. A multi-unit apartment condominium development that has on-site laundry facilities must not exceed 3,300 gallons a day of total flow. I think that's the max we can set, because that 3,300 is 3,600, we gotta remove, 36,000 we have to remove. So I think that is going to be,
So that is just managing the I and I that
that's
we're
all I'm trying to do is
committed to.
manage the flow coming into the building. Now, with that said, we're gonna be talking that we cannot allow any more apartment units. The biggest project we could ever allow would be a 30 apartment residential
Mhm.
development. I think that's the only way we can if we take
For right
in,
now, we have to
okay,
my opinion, we have to tighten it up for now.
okay, I agree, I think for
It's
another
not to
3
say it
years.
won't change. We could
I-
get lucky, we could change it next July, but I think right now,
I would say unless we go into even if we go into a radical drought, we're seeing the worst case scenario now. Or we're seeing what a wet season has on us. I mean,
yeah.
we have not been below 2.2 really and I can't remember.
Mm,
And we have no safety margin.
Right.
And the biggest thing with the safety margin is when we have a sewer system overflow, the last time they had to shut down the Marshfield clam beds. Well, when you start shutting down clam beds, you're playing with people's livelihoods. So I think
We
that's
have to be-
something we have to be really tight on at this point in time.
We have to be mindful of the impact down the line from what's happening here.
But you know there's gonna be significant pressure on it, so bear in mind that we cannot make exceptions or we're gonna be setting precedents. And that's court. Okay, 9, business, commercial, industrial connections effective July 1, 23. All new connections to the Rockland sewer system for business, commercial, or industrial use is subject to the availability of flow that exists at the time of the application of the I&I remediation account without exception. They can take out available for the next one. There will be a maximum allowed wastewater flow for business, commercial, and industrial will be 3,300 a gallon day. So that's good.
Mm-hmm, that's fine.
Now, this is the last section, I think
Yes.
we go over it, okay, is the fee structure. And what I was hoping to do is that I had the language to explain what the fees will go to. The sewer development fee, that's all new connections are subject to a per unit fee which supports the Rockland Sewer Department operations on a daily basis.
Yep.
Okay. The sewer tie-in fee, it says all new connections are subject to a per unit permit fee. I think that's sufficient.
Mhm.
The sewer maintenance fee is where we're getting into the fees that are gonna, not exorbitant, but we have to charge. The sewer maintenance fee is that of $20 a gallon.
Yeah.
All new connection and additions are subject to this fee, which goes to the overall sewer system maintenance fund.
I would stop and take the rest of that out.
Huh?
Take the rest of that out. In the case of a new connection.
Okay, yep.
We can't change the use of it,
Oh, you're right.
but I would also add, this includes projects less than 440 gallons per day.
That's what I was trying to say, but I get very wordy. The engineering inflow and infiltration I&I removal fee. All new connections greater than 440 gallons a day must pay the costs to identify the source and remove the equivalent flow with the EPA mandated 11:1 ratio applied. I think that's fine.
So my only question is, where do we put in the part where the fees are non-refundable? I think that would be the place. My suggestion was non-refundable once they've started construction.
You know, I would say once they're issued the vote of final approval,
Okay.
I'll take out that example.
10.5? Is that the right place? What's the
Okay, we're gonna say all fees are payable in full.
And non-refundable.
Want to say within 30 days of approval or before, at the time of the permit is issued, because we're not gonna give them to them until the permits, until we get paid. At the time, all fees are payable in full and non-refundable.
Approve, is the permit the same as approval to connect?
All fees are
But
payable
it
in
is-
full and non-refundable
Can I ask,
prior to the final issuance of the permit to connect, final permit to connect.
I'm just gonna say, let's say this guy puts up what he wants to, and he has like 20 more units put on. And he has, some other guy comes in, his permits are closed, so he doesn't even have to come to us.
No, your permits are for a set number of units in
And
flow.
let's say the guy puts up 50, and we've gotta put up 50, he puts like 20 up. Another guy comes and says, I'll buy.
He's got 2 years to use that permit,
Yeah, but
the original guy.
original guy, but how another guy comes within the 2 years,
He's going
Buys
on the
it.
waiting list.
I don't think I'd ask.
He goes on the waiting list.
Because it's gonna be the same, he's gonna pick up the other 20 units.
Well, you're saying another situation like Beechwood.
Yes.
Or, you know,
It happened up the street here, right up.
No, you're talking about,
Concord changed,
let's
yeah.
focus on Beechwood
Yeah.
for a minute. Beechwood came in at 50 units, what have you, they only put up 25, so they technically owe 25.
did they pay us for the
But
25?
the
or
permit
did
is
they
only
pay us
valid
the
for
50?
2 years.
But if someone comes in under the 2 years and starts putting them up again, you know what I'm saying?
Or we could just cover it and say, at the end of the 2 years, if the full permit hasn't been used, that flow goes back into the I&I account. Your permit will be modified for, no.
Don't say the guy.
That
My
gives some thought.
my concern is that the sewer department's gonna be on the hook 2 years later for the 25 units they did not build. That's not on us. We've spent that money on I&I.
Yes. But I'm just saying,
Now,
when the next person comes in, and say they go belly up,
Yeah,
the bank gets involved, and they bring their own contractor.
Well, is that covered by saying that
So
the
then-
permit connect, we see, because we're covered in the ordinance that says you have 2 years to connect.
mhm.
If after 2 years, that connection permit is no longer valid, he cannot connect any more units. That's what that is saying. Well, that may be a
Well-
question for Bob Galvin.
Okay.
I'm just
All
asking
right.
about another
No, it's a
person.
good
So-
question. It's a
so-
good question.
What about the project that comes in and says, I'm gonna build 20 units? And we say, okay, and we say, you're approved.
You have
And
2
they
years
pay
to
us-
build that to
And
20
they
units.
pay us for the 20 units. And then in 6 months, for whatever reason, they go, oh no, we're only putting up 15.
It's non-refundable.
That's what I want to hear.
Yes.
Because we've already spent that money.
Yeah.
So
Permit,
it's-
funds
We get
collected.
caught up in these, and I know things happen in the
Well, you know,
construction
you take it,
industry,
Dwyer
but-
Street came up with that, and we didn't refund them.
Yeah, and it's coming up.
But we have to have
it's come
something
up
covered.
before that too, and that's
Yeah.
why I wanted, in writing,
Yep.
you know,
Okay,
make sure,
all
I
permits.
guess, the message to the builders is make sure you know what you're doing, because we're not paying for your mistakes.
Well, that's in the fee structure. Don't. Look at all the cheat sheets I have.
Says you have to pay
Okay.
everything.
All sewer development, remediation, engineering, I&I removal fees must be paid prior to a permit being issued.
Yes,
Okay.
so we issue a permit for 20 units, and they
Okay.
pay us for 20 units. And then
So maybe we should, if
6
the,
months, they say.
okay, we have to have a caveat in there that states, at the end of 2 years, we gotta have Galvin look at that. I want that legally written in there somehow.
I wouldn't put it to 2 years, I would say,
The permit is valid for 2 years.
yes. Refunds are valid for
Not,
30, 60 days max, you know?
They're done.
No.
I mean, I,
non-refundable.
right.
Because at that point, they should be ready to go.
It should be,
But he
Yes.
brings up a valid point, they paid it,
They paid it,
and
but
they've only
it's,
put in 10 units.
right.
We're not gonna let them hold 10 more units open forever.
And we're not paying that back because we've spent the money. Now you've just generated a bill for nothing.
But another thing too, when they cover ourselves, so if they do sell it, let's say the guy said, well, I get 10 more units, I'll sell you, and I already got the permits, I'll let you buy my, you know what I'm saying?
No,
Yeah,
no, no,
and
no,
that's okay, because the permit goes to the person that buys it, correct?
Okay, here's what I'm saying, okay, let's
Sure.
walk this, wait a minute, let's walk this through. Dan comes in for a permit of 1,000 gallons. We grant it to him because we have 1,000 gallons available. There's 1,000 gallons, we take his money and we go for another 1,000 gallons. Now he only needs 500 gallons, so now do we give him, no, I'm gonna put that to, I wanna put that to gallon, I want that worded, so all the fees are non-refundable, and you have 2 years to
To do what you're gonna do.
exercise the full amount. There'll be no refund, no refund of permit fees. But we have to, we can't keep those additional connections left open, because if we have 10 left open, and all of a sudden we get into a high water table, right? We can't let him connect those other 10 units because we're over capacity.
He's already approved, we have to let him,
Yes, we have to let them go.
we have to let him, we approved him,
But after 2 years, we don't have to.
correct. He's got 2 years to do something. And if he changes his mind on how many units he's gonna build, he doesn't get the feedback. That was his decision.
Okay, so we approved them for 20 units, you can connect with, you pay us for 20, you can connect for 20.
Yep, and you have 2 years to do it.
That's why the ordinance reads.
Yeah, okay, good,
But once the fees are paid, that's it.
that's it.
But it should be something that's too, once you give him permits, he can't sell the permits.
Well, what I did is I put that right on the permit, the fee structure. It says all permits are valid, but not to exceed 2 years.
Yeah, but it's only, should be valid while that person has them.
Yeah,
And once he, let's say he closed up and someone comes in, he can buy it, the way it's set up now, he can buy it.
okay, I see what he's saying, the initial applicant.
Yes, that's it. Once he gets it, that's it. Because once somebody else comes in, we don't know what
Like,
to
let's
do.
take an example again. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so the second person comes in,
Has to come in also. And
it starts over,
Starts over.
yeah, starts over.
So we know what's going on. Well, we'll still.
All right, well, let's take it,
Yeah,
let's take
without
it.
saying, oh, well, you know,
Well,
you're
let's just say, well, what?
Joe,
what-
you're working off Charlie's permit, you know,
All right,
that's what
Dan
gets
takes
messy.
a permit up for 20 units.
Yes,
He's in the process, he's got 5 built, he goes bankrupt, he's gonna sell the development to someone else.
Yes.
He's gonna sell it to Sherry.
yep,
You're buying that development figure, and you've got 20 permits.
He doesn't.
I'm not gonna charge you again, it's that double dipping.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
now I wanna build 15 units.
He's got 20 units, he was approved for 20 units, he only builds 5, he goes bankrupt, he wants to sell the property to you.
But how about if we
Now, you're
get,
buying that permit as well as that development.
That's a question for Bob Galvin,
No,
is
you
that
buy- you're
permit
buying-
considered an asset?
Yes, it is.
Well, then if he went bankrupt, he's forfeited all his assets.
yes.
Okay, he decides to.
Or he's selling
He's
it, and
not
then
pay-
he's
he's
selling
not-
the permit to me.
He's selling you the development. He just says, you know what, I don't wanna
Okay.
deal with the
Then
idiots.
he's selling me the assets, he's selling me the land, he's selling me the permits.
But the problem, we don't know what they're gonna put in for bathrooms and stuff like
Doesn't
that.
He might
matter,
change
you
the
can only
plans,
get
yeah.
20 units.
That's nice.
He had 20 units and it's supposed to be 20 bathrooms, now he has 40 bathrooms.
No, he can't do that.
He could. Yes, he could.
We approve them for 25 years. Why?
So he would have to
We-
abide by the conditions of the permit.
Yes, but people don't.
No. How
Do
would
we put
know?
in there that
How would we know?
the conditions of the permit are final? I'm gonna put it to him, because I want that covered. It may be, it may be
We
so
may be
stupid,
overthinking
yeah, we're
it, but-
overthinking it, I think, at this point.
However, we can still put in fees are non-refundable.
No, I'm gonna put fees in our
Yeah, we
fund,
can do that.
and because that's in the ordinance,
Yep.
but we'll put it right on the permit.
Yeah.
All right, I think we made headway, let's just get to the last page, and I think that's all a couple we need to do. And this is just a whereas.
Would you like a note of non-refundable?
Yeah, I
Such a
did.
nudge.
Put it on 2 pages.
Thank you.
Greedy.
I'm just saying.
Whereas the Rockland Town Charter and Town Bylaws, the Rockland Board of Sewer Commission is the sole authority to issue all sewer connection permits. The Rockland wastewater treatment systems operates under a medium wastewater treatment facilities general permit, National Pollution Discharge Elimination Permit, NIPD's, and the permit number. As a result of July 21, there should be 22. Administrative findings of violation in order for compliance, Rockland Sewer Commissioners continue to place a full moratorium on all new sewer connections greater than 440 gallons a day in effect as of this date. Applications requiring 440 gallons per day or less are exempt from this moratorium. I don't get that's repeated. If all conditions are met, there will be no permits issued for new connections. This moratorium is an amendment to the Town of Rockland, Massachusetts Plan for Compliance back in 2007, prepared and submitted by Metcalf and Eddy. The moratorium is an amendment to the 2021 Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners July 1st, 2021 amendment. I just put that July 1st up in there. Based on the EPA influent infiltration and corrective action agreement with the Rockland Sewer Department and the Town of Rockland, the town is required to remove 11 gallons for every 1 gallon of wastewater flow added to the system, the 11:1 ratio. As of July 1, 2023, there are 5 previously approved projects whose flows totaling more than 15,950 gallons yet to be registered on the sewer. I want to look into
Check
that.
that number.
Yeah. Yeah. That could change. Just as we're going down to the approved projects will require that the Rockland Sewer Department and the Town of Rockland remove approximately 175,450 gallons a day of wastewater from this system. Now, those numbers, also include Dyer Street and the others. Okay, so Dyer Street technically is not connected. We haven't
And
removed
Beechwood.
that. And Beechwood, yeah. April 2023, the Rockland Sewer Department, as requirement of the 2022 AO, issued a contract to Green Mountain Piping to remove an estimated 113,350 gallons a day of influent and infiltration. The work was prepared and monitored under a separate contract by Weston Sampson. On April 23, the Rockland Sewer Department issued a contract to Weston Sampson to install 15 temporary flow meters and rain gauges to provide flow metering services. This contract will be used to monitor flows and groundwater depth as targeted, yada, yada, yada. The only reason I put that in is to try to give some history of what we've gone through
Yes.
up to the date. So I think that's,
I have one notation.
shoot.
Back up at the top, 1, 2, 3, number 4. Applications requiring 440 gallons per day or less are exempt from this moratorium,
Yep.
except where noted. Because we started adding them in for the $20.
Let me say that again.
Except where noted. Because we put in here that they still have to pay the $20, and I think there's something else that we said they're going to do or not do. Because this
You know
is,
what we gotta add to this moratorium? That's in the ordinance, the grinding unit. All projects greater than X amount will have a grinding station. Granted, it's in the ordinance, but we should make it a condition, make it part of the moratorium as well. It's easing our flow,
isn't that just part of the permit approval?
you know?
That's where, it's part of the plans review.
And I have it on the
permit
fee,
approval.
I've added that to the fee form.
Yeah, I don't think that's part of the determination on whether you get to connect or not.
Okay, as long as I put it up there. And boys and girls, ladies and
No,
gentlemen,
you had one question,
shoot,
the very first page,
yep.
where you were talking about 2 applications per year, et cetera.
Right, Jack brought that up about,
Change that. Yeah.
say we have,
Yeah, and that's a good point. It's that 10 units that says, well, I'm gonna build one this year and I'm gonna build one in 6
yeah,
months.
what we're prohibiting is the developer from splitting up his land and selling it off as independent units.
Can we say this instead?
Hmm.
More than 2, can we say, more than 2 single-family homes on a single property or sold from a single property are considered one residential development?
Say that again, slowly for the
If
special.
If there are more than 2 single-family homes on a single property or sold from a single property, they are,
Or as a parcel, yeah.
they are considered one residential development. Or project, or whatever.
Okay, what I have is there will be no more than 2 applications per year by any landowner, developer, or a project that total more than 770 gallons a day of new flow. What I'm limiting them to is really 7 bedrooms. So if a guy could say, I'm gonna split my projects, but I can't.
No, and I don't think,
I can't do that because I'm selling 2 individual lots.
so if they have a large piece of property that they can get 3 duplexes on, they can't do it, well,
No, you can't,
duplex is
I can't
bad.
do that.
A single family. But you can say, if this developer is building multiple houses on a piece of land, or selling each house and their little piece of land as he goes, that's considered one development.
I don't think you can do that.
Yeah.
Because technically, it's no different than if I have a 4-acre parcel. I could send out
So-
the 4 1-acre lots.
Yes, you could, you're right. However, if you don't sell the lots, and you're just building the houses to rent,
Well, you
yeah,
have
I
to
don't
sell
think
them
you
as a lot.
can. I don't think you can say that.
Well, okay, now if it was going to into a project, like say, if you can't sell a single family as a 40B. Let's look at, it'd be a public development.
So let's,
Maplewood is a development. They have 150 single-family homes in there. No different. No, I think we're overthinking this.
so how'd they do that? The developer came in and got 1 permit for his whole project.
Yeah.
Built them, and then sold the houses.
Well, he'd have to do that because he can't sell a house without a sewer connection. Or water connection.
The alternative would be to sell it 1 house at a time.
Sell 1 lot at a time.
But it still has to be the sewer into on the property. Leave us up there.
Mhm.
But the developer is losing money then.
Yeah, that's not very cost efficient.
No.
I don't think that's likely.
I think
to
we're
happen.
overthinking it. I think we should let it
Just
lie
take-
for
I
now.
would take that section out.
I'd let it lie for now.
All right. Think about it.
Okay, here's what I'd like to do. We have a meeting Thursday afternoon at 3:30,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
monthly meeting, yeah.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is, I'll clean this up,
2:30, you said?
3:30.
3:30.
What I'd like to do is clean this up and post it.
And we have to decide about that.
Yeah, and I don't leave that out.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll vote on the changes for the non-refundable, and if we vote approval on it Thursday, then what I'd like to do is say, okay, these changes will become effective October 1st. That'll give everyone 30 days to comment on them.
Okay.
I think what I'm gonna do as a courtesy to town hall is I'm gonna send them, as well as a copy of the moratorium, and say, please pay attention to the municipal and let us know your feedback on that. Here's what I'll do, let me clean this up tonight, get it to you guys. If you have any changes, since it's already public, we've already discussed it in public, there's no open meeting law. Get it to me and I'll edit the changes.
Those changes,
What you wanted to
those
do.
changes should agree with whatever we've discussed today.
Right.
We're not
Who is
changing-
on the agenda,
proofreading
but
it.
there is someone on the agenda for a project hearing.
Harmon?
Huh?
Is it Harmon? Harmon?
Harmon Golf Course. Harmon Golf Course is coming in to discuss their project. That is 79 units.
Is that Greg?
Huh?
Who's coming in for?
I don't know, I got the name down. Kayla, the Sullivan attorneys are coming in, representing them to present the project. I think we have to be open with them and just say, look, you tell us your project. She wanted to go on record. We've met with her before.
Mm-hmm.
I think her name is Kayla, the attorney. And just say, look, here's where we say, she's fully aware of it,
Yeah.
but she just wants to go on record that she presented it to us, should something happen. And I said, this is not for a vote, this is not considered a hearing. But the one thing with this moratorium, and I cannot emphasize enough that we're gonna get a lot of pressure on it. If we make exceptions, and I'm gonna be the weak link. If we make exceptions, we're setting ourselves up for a precedent to say, oh, you did it for him, you gotta do it for me. So, for example, and I'm gonna use her, I really think that is a phenomenal project for Rockland. I think it's a great project, senior housing.
It absolutely is.
It takes care of a vacant building, I think it just, it's,
What do you think?
plus it would give us brownie points with God. But
Yeah.
we gotta make
We
sure
have-
we meet all our
we
We
have-
conditions.
have 2.25
Right.
in 6 months.
And again, this
Start
2.25 is, you've gotta think this out, that's a pretty damn strict
there.
requirement.
It's very hard.
Do we wanna say 3 months?
5?
Because I'm gonna tell you, here's what's gonna happen on a normal summer. This is a very abnormal summer, but it may be the norm now.
Mhm.
On a normal summer, we're gonna average around 1.8, 1.7, 1.6. Where this new flow is coming from, I don't think it's all from the rainy weather, to be honest with you, and neither does Rick. I think there's either a significant break out there, or the water that was displaced from the new school has created such pressure on the points of weakness in the pipeline that it's just getting in there and gushes.
Yeah.
We're not gonna know till that metering
Have
study
you-
comes in.
Have you been up to the Jefferson School?
No, I haven't, I haven't looked
I
at
mean,
that.
that manhole.
Yes, it's running better since the blockage was up, but the school is still heavy. But I'm being told it's not out of the norm. See, our hands are really tied till we see that metering study and those fine numbers. But that displaced water has to go somewhere. And I find it hard to believe it's all going into the catch basins.
I know the field's very wet up there.
Suppose they put in enough drainage.
Well,
Yeah, probably use that, so,
it's the, if we're gonna stick to the 2.25,
That's a tough call.
that's a very tough call. Do we make it
Because
2.5?
If we make it 2.5, here's the thing, if we make it 2.5, we have nothing for safety, no buffer.
I understand.
But here's the side thing to that. If we're over 12-month average is over 12.5, you're in serious trouble. 2.25.
Say that again? If our
If we have a 12-month, right now our 12-month average is 2.66.
Mhm. Right,
2.66. And we're trying to get down to 2.25. We have the heavy weather coming in now. Going to provide, according to Farmer's Almanac, it's gonna be a very wet winter with snow and ice melt and all that. I say we let the 2.25 stay to April, that's the next time we revisit this.
Okay.
But I think it really needs to be on the board for discussion, because I think the reality, again, 2.25 in the next 8 months is slim to none. That's my feeling.
Well, I agree, we've never reached 2.5, what makes us think we're gonna get to 2.25? Unless we pull enough I&I out of it, that's,
You're not gonna pull enough on it, I know.
No, you're not. You might get another 100,000.
They got this 450,000 gallons. They've already told me that was massively influenced by June's heavy rain and sump pumps screaming.
yeah, so,
So we're gonna be lucky if we see 100,000 be able to get out of that, lucky. And that 100,000, honestly, is only gonna be made up with the winter flow and new I&I.
Did you see the flow they have in the desert?
Yeah, did you see Lake Mead net? Lake Mead, it's up 20 feet.
wow, really?
And they had bodies popping up. We're getting off the subject of Rockland here.
Anyway,
But this, I'm gonna
yes.
take a moment. I think food for thought is at 2.25, and I think we should let it ride until April.
And look at the data and see what we're running,
Nothing's prohibiting us from modifying this before then.
right? Okay.
That'll take a motion in today's meeting.
I make a motion to end the meeting.
Second,
All in favor, Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
yes.
Charlie is a yes.
Couple of questions.
Sure.
If you're limiting any future development to 30 apartments max, which development is going into Park and Howard? There were two proposals that I know of.
There
Which
would
one?
be one unit,
Huh?
one proposal.
Is for both sides of Park, or is it just?
A new owner took over, it would be one project.
It was
They did
one
take
side,
over?
yeah, it was one piece, one property.
Isn't that 80 apartments?
I forget, I know it was up there.
Well, if you're limited to 30, that's already over.
They can't, we can't approve it. That's the whole thing, Jack, and it's gonna be tough.
Okay. And if you're limited to 30, Shingle Mill's not approved yet. Is that limited to 30?
I'm not talking shingle mill, I'm talking residential units in general. I'm talking projects. And if it says that all we're gonna give is that, that's all we're gonna give.
Okay. The other thing is, the new school does not have a grinder station, and that's supposed to be the emergency backup if there's a problem. All residents will go and stay in there.
That was the new school was approved before the grinder went into effect. The grinder provision went into effect, the moratorium.
I know.
But before, even in the ordinance.
Okay.
It went
But if
to-
it's emergency location for people, it should be retrofitted.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's my question.
We could bring it up and see if it'll be retrofitted.
Unless it's not gonna be an emergency location.
No, it is a new.
Will they have a kitchen in there and everything?
I have no
You
idea.
gotta remember, it's emergency if the power goes out, a grinding station goes out.
That's it.
Grinding station requires power,
Well, we more than likely are gonna lose power quite a few times this winter.
but they have a backup generator.
Would that power the grinder?
Yep.
All right.
Oh, are we off the air?
Right.
Are we done?
We're done.
Wait a minute. Camera.
Okay, Thursday, 3:30.
Thursday, 3:30.
Double check that to make sure I'm writing the time. This is the Holy Family Plan. I'm just gonna be presenting overall.